Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to another episode of The Spread. I'm your host, Jim Sella, in studio with J-JK47 and Big Easy. We are going to round out our AL Central coverage with the World Series champions, Kansas City Royals. And no, I did not say Oils, Orioles, or Oilers like I have 30 times today.
Royals. They deserve our respect for what they did last season.
Lord loves the Royals. Although you still don't know who Lord is, I'm guessing.
You talking to me?
Yeah. We talked about this during the playoff run.
Lord?
Oh, yeah.
Lord, that chick from Australia or New Zealand or whatever she's from.
Too much. That's too much.
Yeah, it is too much.
Isn't that Stan Marsh's dad?
Believe it. Randy Marsh.
One of the coolest stadiums in baseball, though, with the waterfall.
I do like the
I love that.
waterfalls.
What was that game on the video
baseball.
game? Yeah. The waterfall.
It did it in Ken Griffey Jr. baseball too, like
It
the
was-
Super Nintendo one. You'd see the.
It was great.
It was pretty neat.
It still looks great.
All right, let's get started with a couple re-signings here. They re-signed pitcher Chris Young, and they re-signed outfielder Alex Gordon. That was their big re-signing, obviously. 4 years, $72 million. Do you think he got overpaid 47?
Chris Young?
No, Alex Gordon.
Alex Gordon. If Alex Gordon can hit, okay, he's obviously going to play Gold Glove caliber defense.
Yes.
That's what he does. So, I mean, it all just depends on what he's going to do with the bat. I mean, obviously, they missed him for a while last year. He came back. I mean, obviously helped them to win the World Series.
Yeah, I think he's a great player. I'm just wondering if he's worth that much money. What's that equal out to? About 18 million a year. So you got $18 million a year invested in this guy. And, I mean, Kansas City's not a team that is going to spend money like the Dodgers and stuff. So, I mean, that's less money going around to other parts of the team. And, I mean, their rotation, I'm not saying it's terrible or anything, but I could say they could use another piece as well. So, I'm just wondering if it would have been better to maybe look elsewhere in the outfield and sign a pitcher.
You just won a World Series. Come on now.
Well, Alex Gordon, too, he's basically a hometown hero out there.
Yeah, pay your guys that've been there and done that.
I mean, I don't think he's from Kansas City, but he definitely he's a Midwestern guy, so I mean, he's definitely a fan favorite. So I mean, keeping him here, I mean, might also be paramount to keeping your fans happy too. I mean, because they like this guy.
They did bring in some starting pitching still, though, just not a big name. The best one, in my opinion, is Ian Kennedy. He's a guy I dislike very much, but he's a solid pitcher, and he's going to be at maybe not a number one for him, but he's going to be in the top half of the rotation this season. They brought over Dylan Gee. He was a number 5 for the New York Mets before the Mets really beefed up their rotation. Obviously, they have one of the better rotations in all of baseball as well, and the Royals also signed starting pitcher Mike Minor, a guy that had some injury problems in the past, pitching for Atlanta, but he pitched very well for him at one point. Now, that was a couple years ago. So, I mean, this guy has some nice upside, but we'll have to see if he's able to turn it around.
Brought back Joakim Soria from the Pirates.
Yeah, well, yeah, he used to actually close for Kansas City, and then he went, to Detroit for a while, and then he went to the Pirates. He's always been a pretty good pitcher, and Kansas City going to bring him back because they lost a couple relief pitchers. I think they upgraded, though, bringing in Joakim Soria for sure.
Oh, there's Superman Brian Dunsing, too. Remember him?
Brian Dunsing? Yeah.
That's your superhero that got cast out of the Minnesota bullpen.
Believe it. They brought over Ross Allendorf as well, see if he can fill out this bullpen.
Dude's busted.
They signed outfielder Travis Snyder. That's your boy.
Garbage.
Dude's face is busted.
And they signed infielder Clint Barmas. I think both of those.
Are you kidding me?
I think both of those.
That guy's still in baseball.
Oh, they won the World Series.
Well, listen, Clint Barmas is a good defensive shortstop. I mean, I don't know how many times I've said it
He
before.
was 17.
I know you're tired of hearing it, but it's true, man. The defensive players have a spot in baseball.
He won't this year. If he, I
listen, it's only a minor league.
dozen errors.
Well, he's not starting or anything, man. He's just a backup guy, but he may not even make
Clint
the team.
Barmas is in the freaking minor leagues right now for Kansas City.
No.
Hang him up, Clint, and sit your ass down on a beach, dude.
You sign a minor league contract
With Tom Gorzlani.
before spring, and then you bring him in.
roommates.
Because it's not like you bring in your 25-man roster during the spring. You bring in a bunch of players, more than 50 players.
Okay.
So you just sign some lesser guys and see if they can break onto the team. You know what I mean? And see if they have a good spring, and maybe they do crack
Throw
the 25-man
excrement at the
roster.
wall and hope it sticks.
Stop trying to
Get outta
break.
here.
Stop trying to break in on teams, Clint. Hang them up. I mean, you were serviceable.
Listen, after he left the Pirates, man, he had that real good season at the plate as well. He hit, what, 280 something?
205?
No.
That was 215.
Just because he's an ex-Pirate. That's all, the only reason you're hating.
No,
If he
Clint
never played,
Parmes is garbage.
He's not
dude.
good. He's a good shortstop.
he is a good
Garbage.
shortstop. Listen, he plays good defense. He just had a good season a couple years ago at the plate as well. And actually, when he was in Colorado, he had some pop. Obviously, he was in Colorado, but he had a little bit of pop as well. Not a ton or anything, but he's been a pretty solid player over the years, man. A good backup player. How about what they lost? They lost starting pitcher Johnny Cueto. Obviously, he didn't start the season with them, though. They made it to the deadline without him, so I'm sure they can make it to the deadline without an ace like Cueto. And he didn't really pitch that well for him anyways after they brought him over.
I think they're going to.
performed in the playoffs.
Ryan Madsen going to Oakland isn't really going to help them either.
Yeah, like I said, they lost a couple relievers here. Madsen and Lewis Coleman. They actually cut Lewis Coleman to make room for Ian Kennedy. But like I said, Joakim Soria coming over, man. I think that more than makes up for losing those guys.
I did like Madsen, though. Whenever he was healthy, he was great.
Yeah, he's a good reliever, no doubt about it. How about starting pitcher Jeremy Guthrie? I don't think that's a terrible loss or anything either. He gave him some solid production over the years, but it's not a terrible loss. Then they lost Ben Zobrist as well, another guy that really wasn't with them the full season. They brought him over to deadline to help with the playoff run, and that's exactly what he did. So what you got? You have Alex Gordon in left field again, a Gold Glove type player, and a guy that has big upside offensively. It's just a question of whether you're going to get it from him or not. Lorenzo Cain in center field had a huge season last year, and I'd be completely happy with him out there. Jared Dyson in right field, they're going to give him a chance out there this season to see if he can crack the starting lineup. And then on the infield, I mean, you had breakout season from Mike Moustakas. Was Eric Hosmer's breakout season last year or the year before? I can't even remember now.
He had a really good season a couple of years ago. Then he had a not so good season. Then he had an okay season. Like, his numbers are okay overall. Like, he's a good. I view him more as a good player.
Yeah, he's on his way to being a great player, though. I mean, he played pretty well last season.
Oh, I'm not disputing. Like, he's a great baseball player. Like, obviously, like that daring dash to home plate to win that game in the World Series was huge. You know, I mean, so obviously he's something.
So I mean, you got decent power at the corner infield spots, guys that can hit you 20 home runs or maybe a little bit more. And then in the outfield, I mean, you got some serious speed with Kane and Dyson, obviously. And then you got your hometown favorite guy, like you were saying, in Alex Gordon, great defense. And then you got great defense at shortstop as well in Alcides Escobar, a guy that really has showed some offensive upside at times as well. And then you got Omar Infante at second base. He's not my favorite player in the world, but has always been at least league average, maybe a little above average player.
He's very versatile. You know, he could basically start on anywhere in the diamond, actually, pretty much. I mean, he's primarily an infielder.
You know, Christian Colon is a guy that I believe is the same type of player as Infante, too. And Colon's a guy I actually think if they gave him some playing time can be a good baseball player. And that's a guy that can move around the infield as well. So you got two similar players there, in my opinion.
Colon's a guy who is a high draft pick, too. So, I mean, at some point or another, you're going to have to see what you have. I mean, I've actually surprised that it didn't come last year, really.
Well, they brought over Ben Zobrist for the playoff run there, obviously. How about Kendrys Morales at DH? This was a guy, I mean, I said he was a pretty good hitter, but I had him ranked low in the DH list last season, and he was one of the better DHs last year.
He was one of 9 people, I think, in the there was a dozen people that drove in 100 runs, and he was one of them.
Yeah, so Kendrys Morales had a huge season last year, and yeah, he has offensive upside. I just didn't see what he did coming.
Well, he did have some real pedestrian type years, which actually suggested he was in decline. Yeah, as you just said, last year, like, pretty much out of nowhere, had a great season.
Right. And then a catcher, one of my favorite catchers, Salvador Perez. This is a guy who had a huge season a couple years ago at the plate. He's one of the best defensive catchers as well. But he really kind of a letdown the past couple seasons at the plate, but still for a catcher above average. So every way you look at it, Salvador Perez is a key piece on this team, in my opinion. And
Key piece.
Key piece. So, I mean, this offense, it isn't fantastic by any means, but I like the pieces they have out there. I think it's one of the lesser offenses. You look at you laughing over here.
I mean, pieces. That's all it takes is one piece to just jumpstart a lineup. And I'll tell you what, they've had a great last couple years, but now they're going to turn it down a little.
Yeah, I still say some of these offenses in this division look a little bit better.
Yeah.
And the rotation, I mean, they got it done last season, but Edinson Volquez still the number one pitcher out there with Johnny Cueto leaving. And you got your Dono Ventura, still a young guy with a ton of upside. We'll have to see if he turns that into being a true number 2 type pitcher. Ian Kennedy, they have him listed at 3 now. I mean, I could see them making him the opening day starter, really.
Edinson Volquez is their number 1.
So if Ian Kennedy would happen to be their number 1, you'd have Ian Kennedy, Volquez, and Ventura as your 1, 2, 3, which isn't terrible. You got Chris Medlin still, which was a good pitcher for the Braves at one time, had some injuries. I think he had Tommy John. Now, he's not the same type of pitcher, but for the back end of the rotation, I don't mind it. Danny Duffy, Chris Young. I mean, Chris Young, they re-signed him. This is a guy that's pretty old, but his numbers show that he's still a pretty solid pitcher. So, the rotation isn't terrible. There's just not the ace that you want to see in a rotation, really, in my opinion. And, I mean, you bring in an ace, and then you'd have whoever that number 1 is, Kennedy, Volquez, Ventura, then your rotation looks pretty solid. And, I mean, they do have Kyle Zimmer in the minors, one of my favorite prospects. This is a guy that really kind of like Jameson Taillon has really been unable to stay healthy. He's 24 years old, had a 2.39 ERA with 72 Ks, just 20 walks in 64 innings pitched between low A and double A last season. Like I said, he gets injured a ton, but this guy can be an ace. And I think if he can just stay healthy, he could be at the top of the rotation, or worst come to worst, he could be an excellent closer or an 8th inning guy at the very, very worst. Then they have Miguel Almonte as well, a 22-year-old, had a 4.51 ERA last season, though, and 96 Ks compared to 42 walks and 104 innings pitched. That was in the upper levels of the minors. He has a pretty big arm. He hits 96 on the gun. So he looks maybe like a back-end piece as well as of right now, unless he really steps his game up.
BEP.
But other prospects they have 2 outfielders. Raymond Fuentes, he's 24, hit 308 with a 360 on base, 29 stolen bases, took 30 walks compared to 72 Ks and 396 at-bats last season. He's fast. He has a good glove. He doesn't have much power. They're expecting him to be something more of a 4th outfielder. But this one guy here, they expect to be a starter at some point, Jorge Bonifacio. And it's not because he hits great. He only hit 240 last season with a 305 on base in 483 bats in Double A. But he does have some power. He hit 17 home runs. And he takes the walks pretty well, 42 walks compared to those 126 Ks. He's a corner outfielder. He's not very fast at all. He's just the guy that you're hoping for some pop. He's not going to get on base a ton or anything. So he's not a great player, but if he can turn into a 20 to 25 home run hitter, you could see him turn into a starter. And then the last guy, probably their top prospect, shortstop, Raul Mondesi. Remember Raul Mondesi?
Yeah, it's his son, isn't it?
Yeah. 20 years old, hit 243 with a 279 on base last season at Double A and 304 bats. He doesn't take many walks, just 17 compared to 88 Ks. He has speed. Everybody's saying this guy is going to be good. I mean, he's been a top prospect for a while now. The numbers just don't add up. But I understand that shortstops get projected higher just because you need that defense. Defense is the most important thing when it comes to a shortstop, and this guy plays great defense. And he's still very young, 20 years old, playing in Double A, so they believe, sort of like Lindor, his bat will come along a little bit later on.
All the years in the league Raul Mondesi played, never in the World Series. His son debuts his pro career in the World Series.
Believe it.
I don't think he actually appeared in the game, though, did he?
Yeah,
did he?
Yeah, he made his first appearance.
Did he? I thought I read he didn't even play. He was just on the roster.
Maybe you're right, but I read he made his first appearance, and if I'm sitting on the bench, I don't count that as an appearance in my.
Unless you like
get out there and wave. I mean, does that count?
Yeah, I don't know.
Holla.
But then you look at the bullpen, and you got Wade Davis, Kelvin Herrera, What's this guy's last name? Luke Hochevar?
Hochevar.
Yeah, I can never remember. We say it so many different ways that by the time baseball season comes around again, I completely forget because there's 80 different versions of it in my head. But Joakim Soria is another one. So Kansas City always has a great bullpen, and it looks like they're going to have a great bullpen again.
I like Wade Davis. He's a stud. I mean, not having Greg Holland, I think, might hurt a little bit, but I mean, not that there's much of a drop off here at all.
The Royals are actually looking to re-sign Holland.
Yeah, that's why I didn't count him as a loss yet, because I think they are going to try to bring that guy back as well.
Well, I don't think he's going to be a loss. He's just out for the year. He's not going to be pitching at all.
Believe it.
Well, look, Wade Davis, I mean,
like
Holland was a beast there for a short amount of time. And then Wade Davis took his role over, and they didn't miss a beat with him. And Kelvin Herrera, a guy that can hit 100 on the gun. Soria has been a closer before, so they still have plenty of options in the bullpen. They're a good team. I mean, I could see them coming in first again, don't get me wrong, but I think they're going to take a step back this season and miss out on the playoffs. Come in second place, though. A lot of people saying this team can come in fifth place, and I could see it happening just because of how close this division is, but I'm going to give them a little bit more credit than that and say second place. How about you, 47?
Well, obviously the only place left in my standings is fourth.
So you're saying fourth place for the Kansas City Royals?
I mean, right now I just see some holes on this team, particularly at second base right now. I mean, Moustakas, is he going to be the player he was last year, or is he going to regress?
Yeah, we were talking about it in the White Sox segment with Lowry, and if he's ever going to break out. Moustakas really had a huge breakout last year. Really, the thing that he broke out with is he started taking the ball the other way, and that really turned him into a better hitter. If you don't take the ball the other way, you're Travis Snyder. When you take the ball the other way, you turn into a guy like Mike Moustakas was last year.
The only player I see there is really as elite is Lorenzo Cain. You know, he's an MVP type player. He's a game changer.
I like Hosmer. I like Salvador Perez.
I like these guys collectively, individually, but I just don't think it's going to mesh this year. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, they're the type of team where you might see a downgrade this season. I can see that.
And as far as the rotation, Volquez with he's definitely had a career renaissance over the past 2 seasons. However, I just don't view him as a number one guy. You know, Ventura, he has the stuff to be that number one guy, but does he have the temperament? You know, so that'd be
ace.
Those are that's just 2 big question marks I have.
I want Ventura to become a number one pitcher and a dominant pitcher in this league, just because we can call him Ace Ventura.
And what? He's probably on your dynasty team too, huh?
No, I was trying to add him when he was in the minor league. Somebody else added him, and they wanted to trade him to me for half my guys, and I said, "Boop."
Yeah.
Ian Kennedy, I could take it or leave it. Medlin, is he going to even pitch the ball this year?
Yeah, we'll have to see. But they do have depth. I mean, you got to trust Volquez, Ventura, and Kennedy to give you solid production, if nothing else. And then, you got these other 5 guys to fill out the last 2 spots.
I'll tell you what, I do like Danny Duffy. He's young. He has good stuff. And, his problem is he's wild.
And like we said, Mike Minor, he could be a possibility for the back end. They have this Christian Binford, I think his name is. He was already, you should have saved that for this segment. He was all right in the minors, nothing special. I think he's more of a back-end type guy at best. So, they have options here. They just don't have the ace. I think that's the one thing they're missing in the rotation. And the offense, like I said, I think they're fine. They're just not as good as some of these other teams in this division.
Well, the strength of this team is definitely the bullpen. If you can get usually through 5 or 6 innings.
That helps with the rotation too, you know.
Definitely. But, I don't think it's really going to save them this year.
Yeah, it's hard to expect guys to keep throwing 0.90 ERAs season after season in the bullpen.
Well, I'm not talking about the bullpen. I'm just talking about the rotation. I think we're going to have a harder season this year. I think that's the part of this team that's really going to step back. That's why I think they're going to finish 4th. You know, the offense will be okay. It's going to be mediocre. It's not going to be terrible. You know, power might be lacking sometimes because you don't have that truly elite basher that's going to hit the ball into the stands.
Yeah, but they showed it last year. You can get it done without that guy. Yeah, I might not have mentioned Alex Rios. They had him in the outfield last season. That's a guy they're going to lose. He's a little bit older now. It's not as big of a loss as it would have been, 5 to 8 years ago if it was that Alex Rios. And then relief pitcher Franklin Morales as well, I forgot to mention, is another guy that remains unsigned. So all in all, you're saying fourth. I'm saying second. Easy.
Let's see. That was Cleveland, Minnesota. They're coming third place.
Third place.
Yep.
Missing the playoffs. Everybody's saying missing the playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they could sneak in as a wild card.
You're saying second place then?
Yep.
And sneaking in. Well, okay. You said the Yankees in the other division, correct?
Yeah, just because I love A-Rod.
Do you think anybody else in that division is going to make it?
It's tough to say. Maybe Boston, but I just think that Kansas City is a little bit better, down the stretch than Boston will be.
So Kansas City, I mean, if they get in, you know what they can do in the playoffs.
All you got to do is get in.
All you got to do is make it to the trade
run.
deadline, too. They showed last season they'll go out and spend big money on a guy for just come over for a little
Royals, I read an article a week or two ago, their front office has already said if they don't make a deep playoff run this year that they will lose money. So, I mean, they're going all in after, they feel like they have a team and their window is right now. So, they'll go after it.
Oh, this is the team that can finish first. I don't think it's going to finish in the cellar. I think they're too good of a team to let that happen, but I mean, I could just see some rotation issues coming back to haunt this team as the season goes on.
So, offensively, what do you think they got? The second base position, you can't really trust Infante to stay healthy and produce all season long. Is that what you're looking for?
I'm looking to upgrade second base and right field right now.
I like Jared Dyson. That guy can run all over the place.
I like him as a fourth outfielder.
He's a vacuum out there.
Polo Orlando can be a fourth outfielder, too. You might be right. I mean, they might have 2 starting outfielders and maybe 2 fourth outfielders. I don't know. It's hard to say at this point, I guess. Plus these guys in the minors, obviously, we talked about Bonifacio. I think he's a little bit too young, though. You might not see him this season. But that Raymond Fuentes, like I said, another fourth outfielder. So you might be right. They may be missing a third outfielder.
Hit us up on Twitter, #KeyPiece, #BKPiece, backend piece, hashtag all those pieces.
KFC 3 piece.
Edison Volquez.
Hashtag Edison. Yeah, we need it.
That's good stuff.
All right, that's it. Wrap it up, man.
Hit us up on Twitter with any of those crazy hashtags at bet_the_spread or hit me up on Twitter at betjimthewin. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/betthespread. Keep coming back to YouTube and clicking subscribe. We are done with the AL Central. What are we doing next? AL West?
Believe it.
Cleveland.
Warm weather.